Fairrove, Georgia, 2025. A quiet college campus turns into a battleground. Lena Harper, a freshman, seems like an ordinary student, but she's a Marine with a black belt in karate, hiding a strength the cops harassing her never see coming. When they threaten her, Lena fights back, sparking a campus uprising against their abuse of power. This tale uncovers a Marine's courage, a viral stand, and a fight for justice that changes Fairrove forever. Join us as Lena's hidden skills rewrite the rules. Welcome to Story Room by Rico. Subscribe, hit the bell, and let's dive in. Share where you're watching from in the comments. Fairrove, Georgia, October 2025. Fairrove College sat in a small southern town, a place where everyone felt safe, or so they thought. Students headed to their dorms, laughter echoing. A typical evening at 7 p.m. Lena Harper walked across campus, a backpack over her shoulder, her steps steady but alert. Lena wasn't your average freshman. A psychology major, she'd enrolled at Fairrove College after a different life, one that had taken her to the Middle East as a U.S. Marine, where she'd served a tour, earning a Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal for leadership, her eyes sharp from years of vigilance. During her service, she'd earned a black belt in karate, her body a weapon, her mind a fortress. Lena's time in the Marines had been a defining chapter, one she rarely spoke about, but it shaped every decision she made. She joined at 18, straight out of high school, driven by a need to serve, to prove herself in a world that often underestimated her. Her first deployment had been to a forward operating base, where she'd led a small team on supply runs, navigating hostile territory, her leadership earning her the respect of her unit and the medal that now sat in a drawer back home. Her transition to civilian life hadn't been easy. Lena had returned to the States at 20, her mind still wired for the battlefield, her body still trained for combat. She'd chosen Fairrove for its calm, a place to study, to heal after the military, hoping to channel her skills into a new purpose, helping others through psychology. But her eyes never stopped watching, her instincts never dulled. The backpack a constant, textbooks, a water bottle, a reminder of the discipline that kept her grounded. Students waved as she passed, some knowing her as the quiet freshman, others sensing a strength beneath her hoodie. Lena had made a few friends since arriving, classmates who admired her focus, like Sarah, a sociology major who often studied with her, and Jamal, a junior who shared her psychology classes. They'd invited her to join study groups, but Lena often declined, preferring to keep her past private. Her Marine days a secret she wasn't ready to share. Lena's decision to keep her military background hidden wasn't just about privacy. It was about control. In the Marines, she'd learned to assess threats, to stay under the radar until the moment called for action. At Fairrove, she wanted to be a student, not a soldier, but she couldn't shake the habits that had kept her alive overseas. She scanned every room she entered, noted exits, watched for patterns in people's behavior. It was second nature, a part of her that would never fade, and it had already saved her once since arriving at Fairrove. A few weeks earlier, she'd noticed a group of students arguing near the library, their voices rising, one of them reaching into his bag in a way that set her instincts on edge. She'd approached, her voice calm but firm, de-escalating the situation before it turned violent, her presence enough to make the aggressor back down. The students had thanked her, but Lena had walked away without explaining, her past a shadow she kept to herself. On this evening, Lena headed to the library, the campus calm. But Fairrove wasn't as safe as it seemed. A special patrol unit, hired by the administration to maintain order, had become a source of fear, their uniforms a symbol of intimidation, their tactics aggressive, their power unchecked. Lena hadn't missed them, her instincts flaring. The patrol unit had been a topic of whispers among students for weeks, their reputation growing darker with each incident. Sarah had told Lena about a freshman who'd been stopped and searched without cause, his books scattered on the ground, his protests ignored. Jamal had mentioned another incident, a sophomore who'd been detained for hours after questioning the officer's authority, released only after the administration intervened. Lena had listened to these stories, her jaw tightening, her Marine training urging her to act, but she'd held back, hoping to avoid trouble, to focus on her studies. But trouble had a way of finding her, and Lena knew it was only a matter of time before she'd have to confront the patrol unit herself. She'd seen them patrolling the campus, their eyes scanning for targets, their hands always close to their batons. They reminded her of the checkpoints she'd navigated overseas. Soldiers with too much power, too little accountability, their authority a weapon they wielded without care. Lena had dealt with men like that before, and she'd learned how to handle them, how to stay calm under pressure, how to fight back when the moment called for it. As she walked to the library, her mind was on her upcoming psychology exam, but her instincts were on high alert, ready for whatever Fairrove College had in store. At 7:15 p.m., Fairrove College's quad was quiet, students in dorms. Lena Harper walked alone, backpack over her shoulder, her steps steady. 2 officers from the Special Patrol Unit approached, their uniforms stark, badges glinting. They stepped into Lena's path, one calling out. "Hey, you," he said. "What's a girl like you doing out here alone? Got something to hide?" The other smirked, his hand hovering near his baton. Lena stopped, her voice calm but firm. "I'm heading to the library," she said, backpack steady, her Marine training a pulse in her veins. The officer stepped closer, his tone threatening. "Let's see some ID," he said, "and maybe we'll search that bag. Make sure you're not trouble." The other officer nodded, cracking his knuckles, students watching from dorm windows. Lena's eyes narrowed, her karate black belt a hidden strength, her Marine instincts flaring. "I've done nothing wrong," she said, voice steady. "You don't have cause to search me." The officer laughed, his threat clear. "We decide what's cause," he said, stepping closer. "Move or we'll make you." The other officer stood ready. The confrontation wasn't just a random stop. It was part of a pattern that had been building at Fairrove for months. The Special Patrol Unit had been hired by the administration after a series of minor thefts on campus the previous year, a decision that had seemed reasonable at the time. But the officers, given broad authority to enforce campus rules, had quickly overstepped their mandate, targeting students they deemed suspicious, often based on nothing more than appearance or defiance. Lena had heard the stories from her classmates, but this was the first time she'd faced the officers herself, and she could feel the weight of their power, the same kind of unchecked authority she'd seen in conflict zones, where rules were bent to fit the whims of those in charge. The officer's demand for her ID wasn't just a request. It was a test, a way to assert dominance, to see if Lena would comply or resist. Lena knew the game. In the Marines, she'd dealt with similar situations, where compliance could mean survival, but defiance could mean respect. She'd once faced down a local militia leader during a supply run, his men surrounding her team, their weapons drawn, demanding a bribe. Lena had stood her ground, her voice steady, her eyes locked on his, refusing to back down until he relented. Her team safe, the supplies delivered. That moment had taught her the power of composure, the strength of standing firm, and she drew on it now, facing the officers with the same unyielding resolve. "I'm a student here," Lena said, her tone even, "and I'm not breaking any rules. You don't have the right to search me without cause." The officer's smirk faded, his eyes narrowing, his hand tightening on his baton. "You don't get to decide that," he snapped. "We do. Now hand over the bag, or we'll take it." The other officer stepped closer, his presence a silent threat, students watching from dorm windows, their phones already out, recording the exchange. Lena's mind raced, her Marine training kicking in, assessing the situation like she would a battlefield. 2 officers, both armed with batons, possibly pepper spray, no firearms visible. She could take them if it came to that. Her karate black belt wasn't just a title, it was years of training, of sparring, of learning how to disarm and disable opponents twice her size. But she didn't want it to come to that, not yet. She'd seen what happened when situations escalated too quickly, the chaos that followed, the collateral damage. In the Marines, she'd learned to de-escalate when possible, to use force only as a last resort, and she tried to apply that here, hoping to avoid a fight. But the officers weren't backing down, their authority challenged, their egos bruised. "You're making this harder than it needs to be," the first officer said, his voice low. "Last chance. Hand over the bag, or we'll take you in. The other officer added, and don't think we won't. We've dealt with troublemakers like you before. Lena knew they were bluffing. There was no cause to detain her, no evidence of wrongdoing, but she also knew they didn't care. They had the power, and they were going to use it, whether she complied or not. Lena stood her ground, her Marine training and karate skills a quiet storm, her stand against abuse just beginning. She thought of her classmates, the stories she'd heard, the fear in their voices when they spoke of the patrol unit. She thought of Sarah, who'd been too scared to walk alone at night after her own encounter with the officers, and Jamal, who'd started taking longer routes to avoid their patrols. Lena couldn't let this continue, couldn't let these officers intimidate another student, couldn't let fear rule Fairrove College. She'd fought for freedom overseas, and she'd fight for it here, on her campus, for her peers. Lena's facing a threat. Subscribe to see her fight back. Hit the bell for weekly true crime, and comment. Where are you watching from? Your support fuels these stories. At Fairrove College's quad, dusk had settled, students filming from dorm windows. Lena Harper stood firm, backpack at her feet, facing the two officers, their threats escalating. One officer smirked, his voice sharp. Last chance, girl, he said, stepping closer, hands on his belt. Move or we'll move you. The other officer nodded, his baton tapping his palm. The officer lunged, his hand reaching for Lena's arm, his aggression unchecked, students gasping, phones recording. But Lena moved faster, sidestepping, grabbing his wrist, twisting it in a karate lock, her movements precise, her strength controlled. The officer grunted, his balance gone. Lena's grip unyielding, students cheering, phones capturing every moment. Lena pinned him to the ground, her knee on his back, her voice low. You don't threaten me, she said. Not on my campus. The other officer froze, his authority crumbling. The confrontation was over in seconds, but its impact would last much longer. Lena's actions weren't just a reaction to the officer's threat. They were a statement, a declaration that she wouldn't be intimidated, that Fairrove College wouldn't bow to abuse. She trained for moments like this, not just in the dojo, but in the Marines, where every decision could mean life or death. During her tour, she'd once disarmed an insurgent who'd ambushed her convoy, his knife inches from her throat, her karate skills saving her life and her team's. She'd pinned him to the ground, just as she did now, her training a lifeline, her courage a shield. That moment had earned her a commendation, but more importantly, it had taught her the power of action, the importance of standing up when others couldn't. As Lena held the officer down, her mind flashed to her classmates, to the stories they'd shared, to the fear that had taken root at Fairrove. She thought of Sarah, who'd stopped going to evening study sessions after her run-in with the patrol unit, her grades slipping, her confidence shaken. She thought of Jamal, who'd started documenting the officer's actions, keeping a notebook of dates and times, hoping to build a case against them. Lena knew this wasn't just about her. It was about every student who'd been targeted, every student who'd felt powerless, every student who deserved better. The officer struggled beneath her, his voice muffled. Get off me, he growled. You're done. But Lena didn't budge, her grip steady, her voice calm. You're done, she said. You don't get to bully students anymore. The other officer hesitated, his hand on his baton. But the growing crowd of students, their phones recording, their voices rising, made him pause. He knew they were being watched, knew the video would spread, knew their actions were now under scrutiny. Students began to shout, their voices a chorus of support. Let him go, one called, meaning the officer, but others countered. She's right. They can't do this. The quad became a battleground of words, students taking sides, some defending Lena, others unsure, but all of them watching, all of them witnessing the moment Fairrove College began to change. Lena held her position, her knee firm, her eyes scanning the crowd, her Marine instincts keeping her alert, ready for any escalation. The officer beneath her stopped struggling, his breathing heavy, his authority shattered. Lena spoke again, her voice loud enough for the crowd to hear. "This isn't about me," she said. "This is about all of us. We deserve to feel safe on our campus. We deserve respect." The students cheered louder, their voices a wave, their phones capturing every word, every moment. The video already spreading beyond the quad, beyond Fairrove College, into the wider world. Lena's stand wasn't just a physical act. It was a spark, a moment that would ignite a movement, one that had been simmering beneath the surface for months. Students had been frustrated with the patrol unit for too long, their complaints ignored, their fears dismissed. But Lena's actions gave them a voice, a focal point, a reason to stand together. She'd shown them that they didn't have to be afraid, that they could fight back, that they could demand change. Fairrove College's quad buzzed at night, students filming, Lena Harper standing tall, backpack at her feet, the officer on the ground, the other officer stepping back. A student's phone screen lit up, the video of Lena pinning the officer playing, her voice clear. "You don't threaten me." Likes and shares ticking up, comments flooding. "Marine hero. End the abuse." Hashtag Fairrove Marine trending. Students sharing. X posts flashing. Views climbing 20,000, 100,000, 500,000. The campus buzzing. Students gathered. Signs in red. "Stop patrol abuse. Protect our students." Their voices loud. Lena watching. Her stand igniting a movement. Real security arrived. Campus guards in gray uniforms, their steps quick, responding to student reports, the officers retreating, their authority broken. Fairrove College's administration felt the heat. Lena's stand a spark. The video's viral spread a flame that wouldn't die. The video's impact was immediate, but its ripple effects would reach far beyond Fairrove College. Within hours, the footage had spread to local news outlets, student journalists picking up the story. Their headlines bold: "Freshman Marine takes down abusive campus cop." By midnight, the video had reached 1 million views, shared across platforms, commented on by thousands. The hashtag Fairrove Marine trending not just locally, but nationally. People from across the country weighed in, some praising Lena's courage, others debating the role of campus security, but all of them talking, all of them watching, all of them demanding answers. At Fairrove, the students who'd gathered in the quad began to organize, their anger at the patrol unit turning into action. Sarah, Lena's study partner, took a leading role, her voice trembling at first but growing stronger as she spoke to the crowd. "This isn't the first time," she said. "They've been doing this for months. We've been scared to speak up, but Lena showed us we don't have to be. We need to demand change." The crowd cheered, their signs in red held high, their voices a unified call for justice. Jamal, who'd been documenting the patrol unit's actions, shared his notebook with the group, detailing incidents going back months. Students stopped, searched, detained, all without cause, all under the guise of maintaining order. Lena watched from the edge of the crowd, her backpack at her feet, her mind racing. She hadn't expected this, hadn't planned for her stand to become a movement, but she couldn't deny the power of what was happening. She thought of her time in the Marines, of the camaraderie she'd felt with her unit, the way they'd come together in the face of adversity, their shared purpose a strength that carried them through. She saw that same purpose in the students now, their fear replaced by determination, their silence replaced by action. Lena knew she couldn't walk away from this, couldn't let the momentum fade. She'd fought for her team overseas, and now she'd fight for her campus, for her classmates, for Fairrove. The arrival of real security, campus guards in gray uniforms, marked a turning point. The guards had been hired by the administration to supplement the patrol unit, but they'd often clashed with the officers, their approach more measured, their focus on de-escalation rather than intimidation. One guard, a former police officer named Mark, approached Lena, his voice calm but firm. "We've got this," he said. "You can let him go. We'll take it from here." Lena nodded, releasing the officer, who scrambled to his feet. His face red with anger, his authority shattered. The other officer followed him as they retreated, the guards ensuring they left the quad, the students cheering, their voices a wave of triumph. But the victory was only the beginning. The administration couldn't ignore the video, couldn't ignore the students' demands, couldn't ignore the national attention now focused on Fairrove College. Lena's stand had sparked a fire, one that would burn brighter with each passing hour, each new share, each new voice joining the call for change. She knew the road ahead would be challenging, knew the administration would push back, knew the patrol unit wouldn't go quietly. But Lena was ready, her Marine training and karate skills a foundation, her courage a beacon, her classmates a force that wouldn't be stopped. Fairrove College's admin building hosted a press conference at 9 p.m., cameras flashing, students watching. The video's viral spread a storm, #Fairrove Marine at 1 million views. The dean stood at a podium, her voice firm. "We take these allegations seriously," she said. "The Special Patrol Unit is suspended, effective immediately, pending a full investigation." The crowd murmured, students cheering, signs in red waving. "Protect our students." The quad at night buzzed with energy, students gathered, their voices united. The video's impact a wildfire, Lena among them, her stand a spark, the administration acting. The dean's announcement was a direct response to the video, but it came after hours of heated debate within the administration. The decision to hire the Special Patrol Unit had been controversial from the start, pushed through by a small group of board members who'd argued that campus security needed a stronger presence after the thefts the previous year. But the dean had always had reservations, her instincts telling her the officers were too aggressive, too unchecked, their methods more likely to create problems than solve them. She'd voiced her concerns in meetings, but the board had overruled her, their focus on optics, making the campus appear safe, overriding her warnings. Now, with the video spreading across the country, the dean knew she couldn't wait for the board's approval. She'd called an emergency meeting with her senior staff, their voices tense as they debated how to respond. The communications director, a young woman named Emily, had urged immediate action. "If we don't act now," she'd said, "this will spiral out of control. The students are already organizing, and the media is circling. We need to suspend the unit, show we're listening." The head of campus security, Mark, had agreed, his experience with the patrol unit confirming their overreach. "They've been a problem from day one," he said. "I've seen them target students for no reason. This incident was inevitable." The dean had listened, her mind made up. She'd called the press conference, knowing the suspension was only the first step, knowing the investigation would uncover more than the board was prepared to handle. She'd spoken to the students directly, her voice amplified over the crowd, her commitment clear. "We hear you," she said, "and we're taking action. The patrol unit is suspended, and we'll investigate every incident, every complaint. We'll make this right." The students cheered, their signs in red a symbol of their demands, their voices a call for accountability. But the administration's response wasn't enough for some students, who'd already begun planning further action. Sarah and Jamal took the lead, organizing a meeting in the quad that night, their voices carrying over the crowd. "Suspension isn't enough," Sarah said. "We need them gone. We need new policies, new training, a new system that puts students first." Jamal added, "We've been documenting their abuses for months. We have evidence, dates, times, names. We'll take it to the administration, to the media, to anyone who'll listen." The crowd roared, their anger a force, their unity a weapon, Lena watching, her stand the spark that had ignited their fire. Lena joined the meeting, her voice steady as she spoke to the crowd. "I didn't do this alone," she said. "You all made this happen. You recorded the video, you shared it, you stood up. This is our fight, and we'll keep fighting until Fairrove is safe for everyone." The students cheered, their voices a wave, their resolve unshaken. Lena knew the administration's investigation would be a battle, knew the patrol unit supporters on the board would push back, but she also knew the students wouldn't back down, their movement growing stronger with each passing day. The dean watched from the admin building, her mind on the days ahead. She'd already received calls from national news outlets, their questions pointed, their interest intense. She knew the investigation would uncover more than just the incident with Lena. It would reveal a pattern of abuse, a failure of oversight, a system that had prioritized control over care. She thought of her own daughter, a college student at another school, and wondered what she'd want if she were in Lena's shoes, what she'd expect from her administration. The dean resolved to do more, to push for real change, to ensure Fairrove College became a place where students felt safe, respected, heard. At Fairrove College's quad at 7 a.m., students gathered, signs in red leaning against trees. Protect our students. Their solidarity aflame. The video's impact a wildfire. #Fairrove Marine at 2 million views. Lena Harper stood at the center, teaching a self-defense workshop, her Marine training and karate black belt a gift, empowering others to stand up. Control your space, Lena said, voice steady, demonstrating a karate block, students practicing, their confidence growing, the quad's energy shifting, the administration under pressure. Students paired off, practicing moves, their laughter mixing with determination. Lena watching, her stand-a movement, the Special Patrol Unit suspension holding, the investigation ongoing. Lena's workshop wasn't just about self-defense. It was about empowerment, about giving students the tools to protect themselves, to reclaim their campus. She'd organized the session after the rally, her classmates eager to learn, their fear replaced by action. Sarah and Jamal had helped spread the word, their leadership growing, their roles in the movement solidifying. You're a natural, Sarah told Lena after the first session, her voice warm. You're giving us something we didn't have before, hope. Lena smiled, her mind on her Marine days, on the training she'd led for her unit, the way she taught her team to defend themselves, to trust their instincts, to fight for each other. The students who attended the workshop weren't just learning moves. They were building a community, a network of support that extended beyond the quad. Among them was Emily, a sophomore who'd been targeted by the patrol unit months earlier, her story one of the many Jamal had documented. They stopped me because I was walking alone, Emily said, her voice shaking as she spoke to the group. They said I looked suspicious, made me empty my bag, laughed when I started crying. I didn't know what to do. Lena listened, her jaw tightening, her resolve strengthening. You don't have to feel that way again, she said. We'll make sure of it. Lena's leadership went beyond the workshops. She joined Sarah and Jamal in meeting with student leaders from other campuses. Their movement spreading, their demands echoing. They connected with a group from a nearby university, where similar issues with campus security had led to protests, their stories mirroring Fairrove's. We thought we were alone, one student leader said. But seeing your video, seeing what you're doing, it's given us the courage to fight back. Lena nodded, her mind on the broader impact, on the way her stand had inspired others, her Marine training a foundation for a new kind of battle. The administration felt the pressure mounting, their investigation moving faster than expected, the national attention forcing their hand. The dean met with student leaders, including Lena, Sarah, and Jamal, her voice sincere as she outlined their plans. We're not just investigating the patrol unit, she said. We're reviewing all our policies, all our training. We want your input, your ideas, your voices. Lena spoke up, her tone firm. We need transparency, she said. We need accountability. Students should never feel afraid on their own campus. The dean nodded, her commitment clear. The students' demands shaping the future of Fairrove College. Back in the quad, the students continued their practice, their laughter mixing with determination, their solidarity a force. Lena watched, her stand a movement, her classmates a community, their fight for justice growing stronger. She thought of her time in the Marines, of the missions she'd led, the lives she'd protected, the bonds she'd forged. She saw those same bonds forming here, at Fairrove, among students who'd once been strangers, now united by a shared purpose, a shared fight. Fairrove College's quad hosted a rally at midday, students gathered, signs in red waving, Fairrove United, end abuse now. A banner stretched across the quad, their voices loud, the video's impact a wildfire, #Fairrove Marine at 3 million views. News crews filmed, cameras rolling, reporters speaking, students chanting, the administration watching. Lena stood among the crowd, her stand a spark, the movement growing, social media posts flashing, X buzzing, comments flooding. She's a hero. Protect our students. The investigation into the Special Patrol Unit deepening, reports of past abuses surfacing. The rally was a turning point, a moment where Fairrove College's movement became a national story, a symbol of student activism, of resistance against abuse. The news crews weren't just local, national outlets had arrived, their reporters interviewing students, their cameras capturing the signs, the banner, the chants. One reporter, a veteran journalist named Lisa, spoke to Lena directly, her questions pointed but respectful. "You're at the center of this," she said. "What made you stand up to those officers?" Lena paused, her mind on her Marine days, on the values she'd fought for. "I couldn't let them intimidate me," she said, "or anyone else. We deserve to feel safe, to be respected. That's what I fought for overseas, and that's what I'll fight for here." The reporter nodded, her story airing that night on a major network. Lena's words reaching millions, her stand a beacon for others. Students from across the country began sharing their own stories, their own experiences with campus security, their own demands for change. A group from a university in California organized a solidarity rally, their signs echoing Fairrove's, "Protect our students. End abuse now." Another group, from a college in New York, launched a petition for national reforms, their voices joining the growing chorus, their movement inspired by Lena's courage. At Fairrove, the investigation into the Special Patrol Unit uncovered a web of abuses, reports piling up, students coming forward with their stories. Emily's account was just one of many. Dozens of students had been targeted, their complaints ignored, their voices silenced. Jamal's notebook became a key piece of evidence, his meticulous documentation proving the pattern, his work a testament to the students' resilience. "I started this because I was angry," he told the crowd at the rally. "But now I'm proud. We're making a difference together." The students cheered, their voices a wave, their unity a force. The administration faced increasing pressure, their investigation now under national scrutiny, their actions watched by millions. The dean met with the board, her voice firm as she pushed for permanent changes. "We can't go back," she said. "We can't reinstate the patrol unit. We need a new system, one that prioritizes student safety, student voices." The board, once resistant, began to relent, their hands forced by the public outcry, their focus shifting from optics to action. Lena stood among the crowd, her stand a spark, her classmates a movement, their fight for justice growing. She thought of her Marine unit, of the missions they'd completed, the challenges they'd overcome, the way they'd supported each other. She saw that same support here at Fairrove, among students who'd once been afraid, now standing tall, their voices loud, their demands clear. Lena knew the fight wasn't over, knew there would be setbacks, knew the road ahead would be long. But she also knew they'd win, their movement too strong, their purpose too clear, their unity too powerful to be stopped. Spring arrived at Fairrove College, students walking confidently at 10 a.m., laughter echoing. A plaque stood near the quad, gold letters glinting, Lena Harper Self-Defense Program. A legacy of empowerment, the Special Patrol Unit disbanded, new campus safety policies in place. Lena walked across campus, smiling at the change, her stand a movement, her workshops growing, students trained. Their confidence a shield, Fairrove College a beacon. The transformation at Fairrove College was profound, a testament to the power of student activism, of Lena's courage, of a community united. The Special Patrol Unit had been permanently disbanded, their abuses laid bare by the investigation, their leaders held accountable. The administration had worked with student leaders to create new policies, their focus on transparency, on accountability, on ensuring every student felt safe, respected, heard. Campus guards like Mark had been retrained, their approach now centered on de-escalation, on partnership with students, their uniforms a symbol of protection, not fear. Lena's self-defense program had become a cornerstone of Fairrove's new culture, her workshops attended by hundreds, their impact felt across the campus. Students who'd once been afraid to walk alone now carried themselves with confidence, their skills a shield, their community a strength. Sarah and Jamal had continued their leadership, their roles evolving, their voices shaping Fairrove's future. Sarah had started a student advocacy group, their mission to ensure the administration kept its promises. Their meetings a space for students to share their concerns, their ideas, their hopes. Jamal had taken his documentation to a national level, working with student activists from other campuses, their petition for campus security reforms gaining traction, their movement a force for change. Lena's legacy extended beyond Fairrove, her story inspiring students across the country, her stand a symbol of what was possible when courage met community. She'd been invited to speak at other universities, her voice steady as she shared her story, her message clear. You have the power to change things. She'd say, don't let fear stop you. Her words resonated, her impact growing, her Marine training and karate skills a foundation for a new kind of fight, one that empowered others, one that built a better future. At Fairrove, the students who'd rallied with Lena continued their work, their activism a part of the campus's identity, their voices a constant reminder of what they'd achieved. Emily, who'd once been too afraid to speak, now led workshops alongside Lena, her story a testament to the power of change, her confidence a gift from the movement. I never thought I'd feel safe here, she told Lena one day. But you changed that. We all did. Lena smiled, her mind on her Marine days, on the lives she'd touched, the difference she'd made. The dean, too, had been transformed by the movement, her perspective shifted, her commitment to students unwavering. She'd pushed the board to fund new initiatives, their focus on mental health, on community building, on ensuring Fairrove College remained a place where students thrived. She'd met with Lena privately, her voice warm as she thanked her. You made us better, she said. You made me better. Lena nodded, her stand a spark, her legacy aflame. Fairrove College a beacon of what was possible when students stood together, when courage led the way. Lena walked across campus, her smile a reflection of the change she'd helped create, her classmates a community, their fight for justice a victory. She thought of her time in the Marines, of the battles she'd fought, the bonds she'd forged, the purpose she'd found. She'd found that same purpose here at Fairrove, among students who'd become her team, her family, her reason to keep fighting. Lena knew the fight for justice would continue, knew there would be new challenges, new battles, but she also knew they'd face them together, their movement a legacy, their campus a home. Fairrove College thrives, a symbol of resilience. Lena Harper, a Marine with a black belt, turned a threat into a movement, her courage dismantling abuse and building solidarity. This tale of defiance and change leaves a mark. Strength prevails, even in shadows. Subscribe for more tales on our playlist, hit the bell, and comment. How will Lena's legacy grow? Share this story. Join our community at Story Room by Rico today.